Yeah, good start to the weekend. Obviously, a little bit of a sluggish start, I thought, for us. I think, Zahner wasn't super sharp in the top of the first. They got some seeing eye hits. They kind of chopped some balls through the infield, which that's baseball, kind of hit where we weren't. The big play in the first, just not getting out on a bunt, just something that we got to make sure we do. We say it a lot. You getting out on a bunt, you might give up one. You don't get out on a bunt, it turns into three, and that's what it did tonight. But he did a great job settling in 2, 3, 4 and hanging some zeros. Bullpen did a great job. Braylon Myers kind of shut any kind of momentum they might have had because, we had the big second, and then their relievers, what was it, Koenig did a great job there in the middle of just mixing pitches. Their starters threw the changeup, started throwing the changeup more to lefties, and just gave us some fits there in the middle. But we just kept coming. Finally set an inning up, broke the thing open late, and so a good start to the weekend, and we got to come back and replicate that again tomorrow.
Coach, another big second inning. It wasn't 13 runs worth, but it was what your team kind of needed at that point in time. What did you see from the at-bats there and just everything else?
Yeah, just really good at-bats. I don't remember how that inning started. We ended up, I think we got, JT punched to start the inning, and then obviously that's what it was the Doe triple, and then it was kind of off to the races. Doe got on time and did that, and then we get, Norton gets on time with a heater there and an advantage count and slams something, and it was some really consistent at bats. And then credit their starter. Johnson did a really good job of kind of adjusting, and went heavy to that changeup. And, it's one thing to have a changeup. It's the second thing to be able to command the changeup. And I thought that's what him and Kade did a good job of is they just commanded their secondary stuff that didn't really get us in between, but just kind of got us off the barrel a little bit to hang some zeros there in the middle. But obviously get that big 5-run inning. That's where Shat coming in and kind of giving us those 3 zeros there was just huge because it kind of killed anything they had going and allowed us some time to work through some things and lengthen it out later on.
Kade, today was your first home run of the season. How was it to kind of get that behind you?
Yeah, I mean, me and Coach Papp, we've been going through some things, and I'm not hitting bad by any means, but the extra base hits and stuff like that will come. I'm just glad I got a pitch I was able to do something with, and I was able to get an RBI for my team.
Coach, in terms of just how Zane was able to settle in, it ended up being, I think he had a 1-2-3 frame in his last inning. What can you speak to about just the way he was able to kind of keep his head on his shoulders there?
It's what you need your starter to do. He didn't have much today. The changeup wasn't as good today. He was kind of just okay with that. The breaking ball was kind of popping. The cutter was kind of backing up. And he still, he gave up 3, which obviously we wish we had back, but he's also able to hang 3 more zeros behind it. And that's what you have to have on Friday. If you have to go get your starter in the first on Friday or the second, it really sets you back in the weekend. And even though we got a plethora of arms down there, he's throwing on Fridays for a reason. You want that guy in the game as long as humanly possible for the other team's sake because they don't want that guy still in the game and for our bullpen's sake. So it wasn't his cleanest. It wasn't his best. But the fact that we didn't have to go to the pen until the 5th is what saves it for the next 2 days.
Coach, so far in the season for 10 games, you have 5 guys in your starting lineup, more walks and strikeouts. How nice is it to have guys up and down the lineup and just constantly work counts?
Yeah, we have to. I mean, that's got to be the MO of what we do. I think that's how you slug the baseball too. The more walks, the more advantage counts, the better counts you're going to get, and the better pitches you're going to see, the more you're going to slug. So those kind of go hand in hand with those things there. So it's something they work on every day. They've worked on it every day since they showed up on campus. For guys that are returners, this is every day for 2 years now. So they're doing a good job of running that off, and they're showing you if you're going to be effective against them, you have to be in the strike zone. You have to be able to do some different things. You have to be able to show us different secondary stuff because if not, we'll take the edges and wait for the mistake. And I thought Jason Torres' last at-bat was the perfect example of that where he hit the monster homer, and really good slider, and you could tell he was kind of looking for it, but it was kind of painted down the way it was a strike. And he's down 0-1, but he didn't panic. And finally he waited it off till he got the hanger and hit it up and over the scoreboard. So I think the more they force guys to the wide of the plate, the more we're going to walk, but the more better counts we're going to be in too. So I think those things really go hand in hand.
Okay, kind of a 2-part question here. Number one, with 20 runs on Tuesday, do you kind of worry that maybe the bats run out of juice going into tonight? And number 2, what that dugout think of Torres' home run going forward?
Yeah, well, we're very confident in our offense. I don't think that there's a cap on really what we can and can't do. So 20 runs, 10 runs, 30 runs, that's just kind of, who we are as an offense. And, yeah, Torres was a mammo. And we kind of we kind of knew he was going to break out eventually, like sooner or later, and like actually get one, and he hit it and went a long way.
Y'all going for Indiana State, 36?
I don't know.
That'd be great.
Yeah, Coach, talking about the offense, your bottom of your order keeps rolling over to the top. What do you like to see out of the bottom of the order?
Yeah, I think it's one of those offenses, I think, in one of those lineups that there's just not a big hole, and I think that's what you see. Like, Bryce made some, I think, what he had one hit today, made some really loud outs. I mean, he lined out a couple times in big spots, but obviously Braun wasn't his best night, just missed a couple pitches, but had great at bats. Same thing with Bull, worked a couple walks, but nothing really crazy to show hit wise. But tonight it was Jason Torres, it was Brennan Norton, it was Kade, it was Richie, and that's what the theme of this offense has been 10 games into the season is, yes, our superstar and Braun has put us on his back at times, but so has Richie, so has Kade, so has Brady, so has Plattner, who's been in there for us. It's like all those guys have gotten in on it, and I think that's what you need because this is baseball. Charlie Condon might be the best college baseball hitter I've ever seen, and he still hit 4 something. That means you're getting out 60% of the time. So you're gonna have to have different guys have it on different nights, and it's a lot of fun when they all get going. That's when you hang that 20 spot. But more than likely, most games it's going to be 2 or 3 guys here, 2 or 3 guys there, and we have the fortunate ability to have some different guys 1 through 9 that have the ability to help us do that.
Coach, you talked about what Braylon was able to do some tonight, one of the experienced guys. Aiden Mosa, too, you've gotten him back into the mix some this year. What do you think of his stuff tonight and how he's moved throughout the first month of the year?
Yeah, it was good. It's been a different dude. Like, the cutter has been a game changer for him. The cutter was just kind of popping out of his hand a little bit today and gave up a couple line drives to left. But man, you're seeing it better. I mean, it's a 95-mile-an-hour heater. That breaking ball is really good. And when he's really going good, the cutter and slider are 2 different pitches. Tonight, they kind of morphed into the same one, which just tells you the hand speed's not quite as good on it. But Mo's going to be a big piece of it. He's just like Shaq, man. That guy's been in the moment before. I remember that dude punching out the side with a base loaded or whatever it was against Tennessee last year to clinch that series. Experience matters, and guys that have been there, they know what's coming. They know what to expect, and they're not going to get sped up. Doesn't mean they're going to be perfect every time, but you cannot replicate that experience, and we're going to lean heavily on him as he continues growing and getting into the season here.
Coach, first month of the season, you guys are undefeated 10-0, obviously. For you, probably in a perfect world, you guys win 46 more without much issue, but where would you assess where the team is heading into March with conference play?
Yeah, I mean, this game has a way of humbling you. The second you think you get it figured out, you get punched square in the face, and anybody can do it. It's not, it can happen anytime. We've got 2 more tough games against these guys, and then 2 really tough midweeks going on the road to Jack State, and then a good Troy team coming in here, and then you got Presbyterian coming, all before we get to conference play. So there's a lot of work in front of us, and I still think this group's not a finished product, but I think what I've enjoyed the most is the cohesiveness of this group. You've really seen it, and I've been a part of teams that can hit. I've been a part of teams that can pitch, that have good players. But these guys, and I think it was encapsulated really in Sunday's game against Ohio State, I haven't been a part of too many teams that can mount something like that and really enjoy being in that dugout together. And you're hearing a guy in Hagan Banks is hooked in as anybody, and he wasn't, I don't even know if he was hot to throw tonight, and that guy's hooked into every single pitch of the game. That's not normal, and I think that's kind of the brotherhood that they're creating. And I told these guys back when they came in January, man, it's time for you guys to take us for a ride. This is your team. We're gonna put the guardrails up, and this is your team. Go take it and run with it. And they have. It's a really cohesive group. I think we've done some good things offensively. I think we've done some good things on the mound. But I think the beauty is there's still plenty of places we got to keep growing and getting better, and they understand that. And they've rung the bell for 10 straight games. They've rung the bell every single game. Now, to your point, we've got 46 more in the regular season. That's the challenge that lies ahead of us because we're going to get punched in the mouth here at some point. And you're going to have a bad game. You're going to either play poorly or just run into a buzzsaw and lose. That's just going to happen. And it's going to be about, can we get back up when that does happen? I hope that doesn't happen for a really long time, but it's coming, and we all know that. And so I think it's just continuing to be tough, continue to be hard, and continue to grow.
Coach, 7 out of the 9 players had an RBI tonight. How
how important is it to have just consistent hitting throughout, you know, the whole lineup?
Yeah, I think it's huge. I think so many times as a pitching coach or as a head coach, it's like, man, if we can survive through the 4-hole, if we can survive through the 3, the 5, man, there's outs down at the bottom of that lineup if we just attack. Like that's how most lineups are constructed is you're kind of terrified of 2, 3, 4, 1 through 4, something like that. But you feel like, hey, if I just got strikes on the back end, then there's outs to be had, 5 through 9. And I think that's the beauty is I don't know where that's at in our lineup right now. And there's going to be some ups and downs offensively this year. Hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in the world, in any sport. Like this group is not going to score 10 a game every single game, I don't think. So I think that's the big piece is just continuing to pick each other up and continue to keep plugging, continue to keep understanding who we are. And the game that we do have to go win 2-0, we've got to be equipped to do that. And that's what we're working on every day to do, because you guys know as well as I do in this league, like there ain't too many games that are probably going to be 15-14. It's going to be 4-2. It's going to be 5-4. It's going to be those type of games coming up in about 2 weeks, and we got to make sure we're equipped to handle that.
Couple more?
Kade, do you hear what he's saying? Is that something you guys feel in the sense that, for you guys, do you feel like for the other pitchers, there's no breaks and you guys line up?
I think we have a pretty good lineup. I mean, we were even talking about it the other day. It was just, I think when people drop scouting reports and stuff on us, I think the first thing that we want them to think is, man, I just hope they don't have their stuff today, or something of that nature. I think we line up 1 through 9. It's just a scary at bat. And I mean, I pitched to some of them last year in inter squads. I know how scary Will Hodo can be. I know how scary those guys can be. And it's just it's kind of a breath of fresh air because it's no pressure on one individual. Because 1 through 9, we can all do it, given whatever it may be that needs to be done.
Any more? All right.
Cool.
Thanks, y'all.